may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, guys, I'm not going to lie here. I have some beef with y'all. We have to address something. I didn't check the YouTube stats for this channel for a very long time, but I just did and found out that less than 20% of y'all actually watching the videos are currently subscribed. So if you watch our videos, if you're watching on your phone, your computer, make sure you go and hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out when we premiere the videos. That way you can chat with us live. Now, of course, if you're watching this on a TV, maybe you have a Roku or something, then simply some formats you can't subscribe, and I completely understand. But if you're on your phone, if you're on your laptop, make sure you hit that subscribe button and help us get to 1,000. Now, what we are going to be doing with this video is exactly what we did with the hitters 4 days ago. We are going to be going through, we are going to be looking at some guys that I am willing to drop off our rosters now that for whatever reason, maybe they're looking like they may get sent down to the minors. Maybe their performances just are horrendous and it looks like they're at risk of losing their job. I'm ready to move on. We've had some very intriguing pitchers that we've been looking at from the waiver wire. Of course, we've already been making videos on those. But if you're going to be picking them up, you need to be dropping someone else. So that's exactly what we're going to be diving into right now. And the first pitcher we're going to be talking about is pitching for the Yankees. And it's going to be Domingo German, who is 28 years old and still rostered in about 22% of Yahoo fantasy baseball leagues. And the most recent report is it looks like he's going to be getting sent down to an alternative training site. Now, if you look at what he's done in 2021, it has been very bad. Just to put it blunt, he's pitched 7 innings and he's already started 2 games. He started 2 games and he's only made it through 7 total innings. And this is because he keeps having to get pulled early. I mean, in those 7 innings, he's allowed 12 hits. He's allowed 7 runs. He has a ERA of 9, a whip of 2.0. So you understand why it looks like he is getting sent away. You understand why this team does not want him. Obviously, in 2020, we have no major league statistics to look at. But if we take a step back, if we try to get a grasp of who Domingo German is, in 2019, he had 143 innings pitched. He had 153 strikeouts to go along with it, which is actually something that is nice to see when we're talking about these pitchers that are going to be on the borderline making our roster. Obviously, if you're just talking about earning a roster spot and not necessarily the player like Jacob deGrom, someone that you're significantly investing into, really what you want is you want just more strikeouts than innings pitched. If you get more strikeouts than innings pitched, you're going to be checking that box, which he does. At least he did in 2019. And he kept his whip down to a respectable number as well, down at 1.14, his ERA at 4.0. So we're sitting here going, you know what? I simply don't understand why the 2021 production has been so bad up to date. But maybe this is just the case where he needs to get his head right. Obviously, he didn't play in 2020. So if he gets sent back down, he starts performing, then he gets called back up, and he is back in the Yankees rotation. That's when you can pick him back up. That's when he's going to become a waiver wire target, because this is a pitcher that has potential. He can get his head on. He can start pitching to make a difference in your fantasy baseball rotation. But for now, it's going to be someone that we're just kind of willing to drop off our rosters entirely. Now, let's go over to the Tampa Bay Rays and let's talk about Ryan Yarbrough, who's 29 years old and currently rostered in about 46% of leagues. So he's going to be a drop a little bit more in those shallower formats. If you're playing in an 8-man, possibly 10-man league. And one bad thing is he's about to come up against the Yankees. Obviously, you don't want your pitcher going up against the Yankees. And obviously, what you don't want to see is you don't want to see the 2021 stats that we have for Ryan so far, where he's pitched 16 innings. He has a whip at 1.5. And most importantly, in these 16 innings, he's only been able to accumulate 11 strikeouts per inning. 11 strikeouts total. And I know that it's a small sample. I know that y'all want to say, Mason, ignore this. It's way too small of a sample to even be trying to discuss. But the thing is, we've seen this consistent trend from Ryan throughout his entire major league career, where if we go to 2020, there he was able to pitch 55 innings and the Ks were down there at 44. So a very bad strikeout per inning ratio. Then in 2019, we had the same thing here. I mean, he pitched 141 innings and the strikeouts were down at 117. Now in 2019, There were some nice numbers to look at, including a whip that was hovering around 1.0. That's something you like to see. But right now in 2021, if the whip is going to be elevated as well as the ERA, and we know this is going to be a pitcher that really isn't providing you any upside with strikeouts, then maybe you just look to cut him off your roster. Maybe you just look to see what you can get, because I simply don't see the upside here. Now, if you're playing in a deeper format, if you're playing in a 14-man league, then you're going to have no choice. You're going to have to keep him on. You're going to have to continue to use him just mainly as a depth piece. But if you're playing in that shallower type league, I would rather just go out there and I'd rather just hunt some upside, which, in my opinion, Ryan Yarbrough simply doesn't have. Okay, so now let's go over and let's stay in Florida talking about Anthony Bass, pitcher for the Marlins. So Anthony Bass is still rostered in 30% of Yahoo leagues, 33 years old, obviously a closer. And the problem is he has been so bad in 2021 that we actually just had Garcia steal this last save from him, where in 2021, obviously you don't care too much about the ERA because the sample size is going to be so small with these closers. But he's had the opportunity to pitch 5 innings so far. And in these 5 innings, he's had a very hard time closing out games. I mean, he's only been able to grab 4 strikeouts. His ERA is over 10. His whip, more importantly, is at 2.0. And the fact that management here decided to let Garcia get this last save from him goes, crap, maybe Anthony Bass, 33-year-old closer, is now going to be losing this job. Maybe he is now not going to be the guy that you can rely on saves with. And obviously, the Marlins, they're not going to have a ton of saves to go around to begin with. So if he is maybe splitting the show here, maybe he's not their go-to closer, then what kind of value is he going to have on your roster if he's going to be a closer sharing time on a team that shouldn't be getting a lot of saves for this position to begin with? Now, it's a little bit confusing because if we go to 2020, he actually had a very impressive season where he pitched 25 innings and he was able to keep the whip down at 1.01. But you just simply can't ignore the struggles that he has had in 2021 so far. Management isn't ignoring it, and if they're looking to make the change at that closer position, I think we should be looking to make a change in our fantasy baseball rotations. Okay, so now our last team that we are going to be bringing up here is actually going to be the Royals. The closer for the Royals, Greg Holland, rostered in 48% of leagues, 35 years old. Now, I just don't know what's going on here. I know it's a very small sample, but he has been horrendous in 2021. Now, I will say, don't go out and drop him right away. I mean, he has yet to lose this closing job, but what I mainly want you to be doing is I want you to be looking at him going, hey, if he continues this type of performance day in and day out, he's probably going to be losing the job very soon. We probably should be looking to grab another closer off the waiver wire, because he's pitched 4 innings so far. Obviously, with these closers, we really don't care about the ERA, but what we do care about is the whip, because the whip is going to directly affect how often they can be closing out these games. And the whip has actually been up there at 2.77. So yes, it's a small sample. Yes, this isn't me telling you to go and drop him right away, unless you're playing in a shallow format and you have someone that you really wanted to get off the waiver wire. But more so, I'm telling y'all, hey, you better be prepared to maybe in the upcoming weeks go out there and drop Greg Holland, because he has had a disastrous start to 2021, which is also confusing because you go to his 2020 performance and he was actually extremely solid, where he saw 28 innings pitched, a whip under 1, an ERA under 2, and he had more strikeouts than innings pitched. So all those numbers check the boxes of him going, you know what? He's probably a closer that has a high floor. Yet if we're not seeing that floor performance, I think that you just put him at the back end of your roster at the very least, getting ready to have to cut him. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. Of course, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and I will see y'all with the video tomorrow.